On February 2nd, 2021, William "Red" Stevens, a prominent general in the notorious 27s gang, sat outside his home in Kraaifontein, a northern Cape Town suburb in South Africa. Suddenly, three men armed with military-grade weapons emerged from nowhere. Chaos erupted as gunfire tore through the air. Time seemed to freeze as Stevens faced what appeared to be his inevitable end. This is the story of the hit that ended the reign of one of Cape Town's most feared gang lords, a deep dive into the harsh underworld where survival is rare and escape nearly impossible. William Stevens' journey into the criminal underworld began in the dense and troubled suburbs of Cape Town. For many young men in these areas, joining a gang is seen as a way to escape the relentless hardships of poverty and crime. Opinions differ on how young men like Stevens find themselves trapped in this violent cycle. Some blame the systemic inequalities of apartheid, while others attribute it to individual choices. However, one truth remains. Once a person steps into this dark world, the odds of a peaceful exit are slim, with death, usually violent, being the most common outcome. Stevens' first encounter with gang life came during his youthful years in prison. South African prisons are notorious for being governed by the numbers gangs, structured criminal organizations with strict hierarchies. Stevens initially joined the 26s, but quickly distinguished himself as a force to be reckoned with. His ruthless violence earned him the nickname "Red" among his peers. Recognizing his potential, he abandoned the 26s and violently ascended into the 27s, where his relentless thirst for power and blood set him apart. Once outside prison, Stevens climbed the ranks to become a general in the 27s, overseeing their street operations in Cape Town. During his time behind bars, he had learned that the 27s functioned as enforcers of order among the different prison gangs. Leveraging this knowledge, he began selling protection services to other street gangs, an innovation that would bring him both wealth and enemies. However, this move defied the 27's strict rules, which forbade making money through street dealings. Unwilling to bow to tradition, Stevens broke away, effectively creating his own rogue faction of the 27s. Operating as an independent power broker, Stevens became a formidable figure in Cape Town's criminal underworld. He sold assassination services to the highest bidder, turning his reputation as a ruthless enforcer into a lucrative enterprise. This disruption of the established gang rules earned him numerous adversaries. The numbers gangs, including the 26 and 28s, operate under a strict code, and Stevens' defiance of these norms sparked violent rivalries. In the volatile world of Cape Town's organized crime, change invites swift retaliation, and Stevens' rise only increased tensions. Stevens' reputation as a hitman for hire made him a go-to figure for those seeking to settle scores. Across Cape Town, in the affluent neighborhood of Sea Point, another crime boss, Mark Liftman, was grappling with his own problems. Liftman harbored ambitions of dominating the city's property and investment market, but his plans were obstructed by a rival named Brian Weinstein, known as the Steroid King. The collision of these criminal interests would further entangle Stevens in Cape Town's bloody web of power struggles. Brian, the Steroid King, Weinstein is no minor player in South Africa's underworld. Known for his illegal steroid operation, Brian imports raw materials from Turkey, Greece, and China each week, manufacturing steroids locally and selling them across the South African market. His enterprise nets him a staggering 600,000 South African rand in monthly profits. Yet, his wealth and success have drawn dangerous attention, particularly from a rival named Mark Liftman. Their rivalry isn't rooted in the steroid business, but in how their illegal earnings are laundered. Both men invest in properties and businesses to legitimize their money, inevitably clashing over lucrative opportunities. When two forces like Liftman and Weinstein collide, only one can prevail. Liftman, recognizing the need for a decisive move, turns to the one man reputed to solve problems without fail, William Stevens. Without hesitation, Liftman dials the number. After a few tense rings, Stevens answers. The conversation is brief, just a name and a six-figure sum exchanged before the line goes dead. Unbeknownst to Weinstein, his life has just been priced, and the king of assassins is ready to collect. While Weinstein is aware of Liftman's animosity, he remains oblivious to a betrayal brewing within his own circle. His head of security, a trusted bodyguard earning 10,000 South African rand a month, secretly harbors ambitions of taking over the steroid empire. This bodyguard, with ties to Liftman, has been conspiring against Weinstein. Introduced to Weinstein by a mutual associate of Liftman's, the bodyguard has been waiting for the perfect moment to make his move. Meanwhile, Stevens prepares for the assignment. After showering and dressing, he scrolls through his phone's contacts, searching for trusted allies to execute the job. His search ends with two names, Cheslin Adams and Fabian Cupido. These seasoned hitmen, both members of the 27s, are summoned. Stevens arranges a meeting with them and other key figures, including Liftman and several accomplices. The meeting takes place in a Cape Town nightclub's VIP section. Present are William Stevens, an unknown business associate who owns a tire company, and two of Weinstein's own bodyguards, Matthew and Sheldon Breed. Despite their supposed loyalty to Weinstein, Matthew has already agreed to betray his employer. He outlines the plan. He will disable the alarm system and electric fence at Weinstein's home in Constantia, leave the back door unlocked, and provide the assassins with precise directions using Google Maps. The group finalizes the plan, sealing the deal with a handshake. Cheslin Adams and Fabian Cupido prepare to carry out their deadly mission, aided by insider information from Matthew and Sheldon. The steroid king, unaware of the betrayal surrounding him, continues his operations, oblivious to the storm closing in. The calculated betrayal of his inner circle and the relentless drive of William Stevens' assassins ensure that Weinstein's reign in the underworld is rapidly approaching its end. On August 17, 2017, Cheslin Adams and Fabian Cupido were on their way to Constantia. They made a brief stop to meet Matthew, one of Brian Weinstein's bodyguards, and exchanged vehicles, switching to a Volkswagen Golf. With the change complete, they sped toward the luxurious home of Brian Weinstein, the infamous steroid king. Inside, Weinstein was sound asleep alongside his family, unaware of the danger closing in. The assassins entered the home through the back door, deliberately left unlocked by Matthew as part of the plan. Adams, armed and ready, found his way into Weinstein's bedroom. Raising his weapon, he paused for a moment when he caught sight of Weinstein's child, wide-eyed with fear, lying next to the mother. After a fleeting hesitation, 5 shots rang out, shattering the stillness of the night. Cupido, waiting anxiously by the getaway car, heard the gunfire, and moments later saw Adams and his accomplice rushing out of the house. As they sped away, Cupido, troubled by the shots, asked Adams if he had followed the agreed plan to kill only Weinstein and spare the woman and child. Adams, his voice cold, replied, "I hope those little eyes won't remember my face." With that, the first domino in a chain of events leading to the downfall of 27's General William "Red" Stevens had fallen. News of Weinstein's assassination quickly reached Mark Liftman and his associates. True to his promise, Liftman paid 250,000 South African rand to Stevens, the self-proclaimed king of assassins. For a while, it seemed as though the hit had gone perfectly, but high-profile killings in the underworld rarely go unnoticed. Weinstein's murder drew the attention of South Africa's anti-gang unit, which launched a focused investigation. It wasn't long before one of the shooters from that fateful night was arrested. Feeling abandoned after his attempts to contact the kingpins failed, the man decided to cooperate with authorities. He turned state witness, exposing the entire network behind the assassination. His testimony led to the arrest of Mark Liftman, Jerome Boyson, and William Stevens. Although the 3 men managed to secure their release by posting 100,000 South African rand bail, the damage had already been done. Word spread quickly that a member of the 27 gang had become a state witness. This betrayal enraged not only the kingpins, but also other factions of the 27 gang who were not part of Stevens' rogue operation. These factions had long warned Stevens against violating the gang's traditions, and now their anger was palpable. Blame for the tarnished reputation of the 27s fell squarely on Stevens, painting a massive target on his back. On February 2nd, 2021, the inevitable reckoning arrived. Stevens sat outside his home in Kraaifontein when three armed men emerged from the rear. Without warning, gunshots erupted. Semi-automatic weapons unleashed a barrage of bullets, leaving Stevens no chance of survival. As quickly as they had appeared, the attackers vanished into the nearby settlements, leaving the so-called King of Assassins dead in the most brutal fashion. The murder was just a week before this trial. The timing raised suspicions about silencing him, with investigators now probing connections between his testimony and the perpetrators. Stevens' execution marked the end of an era, but the beginning of something darker. In the South African underworld, the death of a high-ranking figure is never the end. It is a spark that ignites violent power struggles and turf wars. Stevens' fall left a void that others would eagerly and bloodily attempt to fill. The cycle of betrayal, revenge, and death continued, ensuring that the chaos of the underworld remained unbroken.